Okay, so Taylor is here with us today. Taylor is an assistant store manager at Kohl's. So Taylor was once a student at Penn State as well. So she's going to give her perspective today on how you adequately prep and also follow up in a career fair setting. And what I think is really nice is Taylor was in your shoes not so long ago as a student, so she can probably remember doing some things that she wouldn't recommend doing, or at least seeing some things she wouldn't recommend doing. But she's on the other side of the table now, the recruiter side. So she certainly has a lot of experience that she can share with you. So I'm going to get out of Taylor's way, and you've got a clicker here. And have at it.
All right, sounds good. All right, so as she said, my name is Taylor. I graduated from Penn State in 2016, so I was in your seats not too long ago, okay? So this is for you guys. So please, 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 if you have a question, don't hesitate to interrupt me, because the more you get out of this, the more I'm doing my job, okay? So don't hesitate to ask any questions. Like I said, I graduated in 2016 from SMEAL. I was one of the first to graduate with the corporate innovation entrepreneurship major. Anybody here with that major? Oh, that's cool. Just so I know who I'm talking to, how many of you are freshmen? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, sophomores, juniors, seniors. Okay, come on in. Oh, just push.
Sorry.
You're okay. Okay, so I'm going to obviously be talking to you about the career fair prep and follow-up. Okay, so first here, a huge part of the job search and being successful once you land a job is marketing yourself. So that's one of the biggest things that we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so for career fairs, they can be extremely overwhelming. I actually went to Penn State Altoona for my first 2 years, and then I transferred up to main campus. Did the BJC career fair already happen?
It's next week.
Next week? Okay, perfect. So I came up here as a junior, it was my first week, and people were starting to talk about the BJC career fair. I'm like, what are you talking about? I instantly got overwhelmed, didn't know what to do. So hopefully this will help you learn what to and to not do. And I also used a lot of my resources. I did a lot through SMEAL, and I did Bank of America as well, and went to a lot of the speeches and whatnot, just to figure out what was going to benefit me, because I really didn't know where to even begin. So for career fairs, we're going to talk about target companies and research, just being confident and branding yourself, updating your resume, creating your self-pitch, which also is called the elevator pitch, preparing good questions, follow up with reps that you have met, and also connecting via LinkedIn and email. Do you guys all have LinkedIn? Okay, if you don't have LinkedIn, it's super easy to set up, and I highly recommend it because it's a very easy way to stay connected with the people that you talk to, okay? So, has anybody ever heard of the 80-20 rule? Anybody? No? Okay. So, they say in business, you've often heard things like 80% of sales come from 20% of the clients. Does that kind of ring a bell? Okay, so we're going to kind of change the way they stated that and say that for your personal brand, 80% is based on that first impression that you give that recruiter, and 20% is based on your actions. So that is just saying it's super, super important to make sure that your first impression is what you want it to be. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how to do that, okay? So I will tell you today, I was at the career fair out here, and so many students came up to me and they're like, what do you have to offer me? If you learn one thing from this presentation, it is to not do that. Please do not go up to a company and say, what do you have to offer? That is a huge red flag for, I would hope, any recruiter in saying that that student has not done their homework, okay? So before you go talk to a company, or even if it's 1 minute you see, hey, Kohl's is there, I think I might want to go talk to them because maybe they don't have a very long line. So get on your phone and Google it, or I'm sure there's resources that you can go to, and you can see what kind of internships or programs they have to offer you. But if you learn one thing from this, please, please, please do not go up and to a company and say, what do you have to offer me? Because chances are very high that you're probably not going to be getting an interview from representing yourself in that way, okay? So make sure that you research those companies, pick out a few fun facts that you see, or that you like, or maybe that you can connect with, and then go from there. But like I said, please avoid asking, what jobs do you have? Do you have
So
questions?
like the BJC, if you're a freshman, you go around and try to like learn about other companies.
Uh-huh.
So like a lot of companies are there.
Yeah.
Or should you still do research there, or just like talk to different companies?
Definitely do research first. What I did is, like I say, when I came here, I had no idea what to do. So I went to lots of seminars, and they say pick out a couple companies that you think you might have interest in, and just pick out some fun facts. One thing that I did that I think benefited me is I would actually go and look at the requirements of the position that company was offering, so internship or program or whatever it may be, and a lot will say needs to know how to analyze data, needs to be a good communicator, needs to have leadership experience, that type of thing. So I'm like, all right, mental note or write down on a piece of paper the company's name and put leadership, communication, good being able to analyze data, just so when I'm throwing them my pitch, those might be key terms and words that I use when describing myself, because they're going to be like, oh, that word sounds familiar, that word sounds familiar. It's an easy way to make yourself look really good. It's pretty much, it's given to you, so use it to your advantage. Okay, does that help? But definitely that even if you're a freshman, and Kohl's unfortunately doesn't have a lot to offer for freshmen, but so many people that I talked to today, I was like, yes, please continue to keep on going out there and you're building your confidence by throwing them your elevator pitch. So you're going to be super ready when you are there to actually get that position. But your recruiters will remember you. There's a lot of people that I was very surprised that I recognized faces, but I did on people that I talked to, and they were only freshmen or sophomore, just because they're out there putting their faces out there and getting that one-on-one face recognition time with that recruiter.
I did write up there that supply chain fair that begins tomorrow, runs through Thursday, they have an app. So if there is a company that you didn't research ahead of time and you downloaded the app, you have a way of researching that company right then and there. Just step away, don't do that in line, obviously. You don't want to be on your phone in line. And then also the fair at the BJC, Fall Career Day, is next week. They also have an app. So for those who are viewing online, the supply chain fair app is CSCR Fair. And for the BJC fair, it's Penn State Career Success. So you want to download both of those. So you know where is everyone located, especially in the BJC, and you have 500 employers to find. What are they hiring for? Because you're not going to wait in line if someone's only hiring full-time and you're looking for an internship. And then also a little bit about the company. Do a little bit of intel.
Mm-hmm. It's great to have that like common thing to be able to talk to someone about, instead of me just pitching the same thing the entire time when people come up and ask, like, what do you have to offer me? Okay. Okay. So what you know matters, but who you are matters more. So it's good to have that knowledge, but make sure that you're being your true self, okay? So your personal brand. A personal brand is a widely recognized and largely uniform perception or impression of a person based on their experience, expertise, and actions or achievements within a community, an industry, or the marketplace. So what do you know, or what do people know about you, and how do you present yourself, and how do you make them feel? So just for example, would a recruiter know that you're a student? Maybe you're hardworking. Do they know that you're, for instance, Jake's sister? So she is a great person to talk to maybe get some intel on Jake. Do you know that he takes the lead at work? So that recruiter would know that they can rely on him and that he actually cares about his job. So this is all part of your personal brand, okay? Just making sure that that recruiter really knows who you are as an individual. And also coming up there and showing your personality. Unfortunately, recruiters normally have a long day. So the person that comes up there and they're very monotoned and they're just going through their spiel that you know that they practice however many times they have practiced it. Be energetic, be fun. It's a conversation. It's not like it's like a speech, you know what I mean? Just have that two-way conversation with that rep and make it fun for them too, because that's how they're gonna remember you, okay? Any questions about that? Okay, so this is just talking more about like what a brand is. It's that overall experience of a customer that distinguishes an organization or product from its rivals in the eyes of a customer. So taking that kind of on to what we're talking about today. So when you see Dunkin' Donuts, you're gonna think about the last time that you've been to Dunkin' Donuts and say they didn't put sugar in your coffee, you're not gonna have the best memories of Dunkin' Donuts, okay? So when you're going to a career fair and you come up to that recruiter and you say, what do you have to offer me? You know that's not that good of an experience for that recruiter when they see your name, okay? So make sure that when that recruiter sees your name, they first off remember you, know your face, and then have that positive experience, okay? Okay, so who here knows who J-Lo is? Yeah, okay. So she definitely knows how to rock her brand. She's a singer, actor, dancer, fashion designer. And when her brand started to suffer in the mid-2000s, she did something about it. And she landed a designer gig with a nationwide retailer. Does anybody know who that is? Kohl's. Okay, so that's just a prime example of she's obviously been in the industries for a long time, and she knew that she had to make a change because her brand was suffering. So she did what she had to do to keep up with those trends, and she revived her brand. Okay, so your elevator pitch. Do you guys know what that is? Do you have elevator pitches? Yeah. Kind of still working on them. Okay, so you think of an elevator ride, it's what, like 30 seconds to a minute. That's kind of, I thought why it was called an elevator pitch. But one girl came up to me today and I was like mind blown, and I don't know why I was mind blown, because I know what an elevator pitch is and I've heard multiple of them and I had my own, but she like did it in a way that I was so fascinated by it, and she made it sound so good. So she gave me all of her basic information, like the hi, or just the, are you a Penn State alum? How was your trip? Something like that. Obviously what her name was, what her major was, when she'll be graduating, that type of thing. And then she gave me her skill set. Okay, and what she was good at that kind of made her a little bit different from the other candidates that I talked to for the day. And then she showed me that she did research for the company, and she told me about the internship that we offered. And like I said, she used some of those keywords that I talked to you about before that was in the I don't want to say requirements for the internship, okay? So she gave me all of her information, gave me all the information that she knew about Kohl's, and had some questions for me as well, which is good to have questions. And then she put them together and she said, okay, so this was my skill set, this is what I know about your company, and this is why we're a perfect match. And I was like, oh my gosh, you just made that so simple, so easy, it made sense. And I was like, wow, why doesn't everybody know this? Like, I wish I would have known that. I guess I kind of made it more difficult when I came up with it, because you're like, where do you begin? So that's a very easy way to say, hey, this is me, this is your company, and what I saw that you have to offer, with maybe a couple questions here or there. And then combining the two and say, this is my skill set and this is why I'm a perfect candidate for the position that your company is offering. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. So, go ahead.
So for elevator pitches, I've never been to a career pitch,
Okay.
but
Yep.
do you just go up to the recruiter and just be like, hi, like just immediately begin, or do you wait like and start a conversation first and then start trying to get?
You can do it either way. A lot of people say, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, hi, I'm Taylor. Nice to meet you, whatever. And they might say, oh, are you an alum? How was your trip up here? Or have you had a long day? What time are you here till? Just kind of things to make it not so to the point. You want to be timely when you are talking to a recruiter, obviously, because there's probably a lot of people that need to talk to that recruiter. But at the same time, it's kind of nice. They're talking about this position all day long. So it's kind of nice just to have a little bit of a side conversation. So yeah, just introducing yourself, let them introduce themselves, and just throw in that nice side question and then go into more your elevator pitch. Does that answer your question? Okay.
And I'll add too that some recruiters will take charge and say, let me see your resume. Oh, I see that you're involved in Thon, or I see that you picked supply chain. Why did you pick that? Or tell me about your involvement with Thon. And it's almost like a little mini interview. That's super easy to respond to. That's just knowing your resume. That's the easy stuff, right? It's when they kind of stand back after that initial sort of awkward introductory conversation when you're like, I guess I'm supposed to give you that pitch thing now. So that's when the structure really comes in handy. So it's having bullet points memorized. If I could recommend one thing, it's have some idea of direction where you want to go, sort of like you're giving a speech or a presentation. You wouldn't try to memorize everything word for word because inevitably you're going to flub it. It's too hard to perform like that on demand, like a monkey, okay? So don't try to remember everything word for word, but go for bullet points.
Kind of give them like debrief your resume. They get so many resumes that they're not going to be able to read every single bullet point on that resume, especially when they're trying to have a conversation with you and look at your resume at the same time. So just kind of like debrief them on what is on your resume and what you think applies to that position and is the most maybe differentiates you from that other candidate that they're talking to. Okay. So as you build your elevator pitch and think about talking with employees, keep in mind that these are skills and experiences that they will be looking for from candidates, okay? So one of the biggest things, and so many people ask me today, which is a great question, they're like, if I had like one quality, what would it be if for like the perfect candidate for the position that you're trying to hire? And one thing that I have said and I heard a lot of other people say is leadership. Leadership is something that I guess you can teach it, but it's harder to teach. So if you come and do the internship at Kohl's, I can teach you the tasks day in and day out that we do, but it's so much harder for me to teach an intern the leadership that they need to have for the position. So if it's one thing that you're going to have and really talk about, definitely have that leadership. That can be like with a sports team. That can be with a project that you have in one of your classes, a fraternity or sorority or any kind of position that you might hold in any of your organizations, okay? So leadership is huge. Planning and managing projects, I'm sure you guys all do that during your classes. So maybe one that went really well, or maybe one that went really bad and you learned from it. That's not bad to talk about. At least you learned from it and you know what to do next time and you realize that, okay? Building relationships, so that can be through your student organizations or work or your classes or whatnot. Analyzing and evaluating data, and then just continuously having that ambition to learn is so important. I know you guys are getting swamped with work here, but the learning never stops, okay? Every day I go to work, I learn. And I said, I will be scared the day I go to work and I'm not learning because that means my motivation went down here, okay? So always, always, always show recruiters that you're excited to learn. And hey, we don't expect you to know everything that you need to know for the internship that you're applying for. So say, hey, I'm super excited to learn something new. That would be great for a recruiter to hear, okay? And just communication, that's key no matter what you do or what internship you might get. Okay, so what do you wear? Don't go too crazy with colors. Definitely stick to your black, gray, navy. those mutual colors, closed-toed shoes. How many people I saw today in high heels, and they're super cute, but they're like walking like this. You can tell that they're so uncomfortable. Okay, so don't wear those big high heels. Okay, show that you're comfortable. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about the business attire? It's definitely for interviews and career fair. It's business professional attire.
If I could give kind of a funny tip, I like that it says definitely wear stockings if you're wearing a skirt, ladies. That's definitely more of a professional thing. We know how easily those rip. Those runs, which then looks pretty yucky, right? Bring an extra pair, stuff it in your purse just in case. You can always change in the restroom. That way you're not running around with a massive run in your stocking or a big hole over your knee. That's something that's helpful when I was a student here.
Do you guys have any questions about that? Sure, go ahead.
Are there really places to get like those type of clothes like on campus, like to rent or just for the career fair?
Bank of America Career Services has a career closet. It is free.
That is awesome.
You can access that, yes. We've been collecting donations. We collect year round. So if you're interested in shopping, you can head on down. They close at 5, so you can't go today. Go tomorrow,
What
absolutely.
was it called?
Bank of America Career Services, Central Campus, right across from UHS in the Outdoor Pool.
Okay.
Or if you want to buy something, you can always come to Kohl's.
Bingo!
We have suits and things like that.
And then collect that Kohl's cash.
Yeah, that Kohl's cash. Okay, any other questions about that? Okay, so it's the little things that matter, as we talked before, about the 80-20 rule, 80% of the impression and 20% of the actions. So timeliness. I will give you an example. Today we had a girl come up and she was so smart, so smart. She started talking about how she went abroad and did all this stuff and the communication between different countries, and I was like, oh my goodness, this girl knows what she's doing. But she had no interest in the retail industry. So not that she wasted our time, but there was other people waiting, and she stood there and talked to us. She went on for probably about 5-10 minutes on this project that she did. And it was great, and she has a great future ahead of her, but she wasn't interested in us. She did not know that at the time, but she wasn't interested in us because she didn't do her homework. But she stood there and took up 5 to 10 minutes of her time telling us about this project, which was fantastic, but it was irrelevant to what Kohl's had to offer, okay? So just make sure that you're timely. Strong handshake, that first impression, come up, good eye contact, do that strong handshake. Even from a girl, that's awesome from a girl, have that strong handshake, okay? Manners, please, thank you, be polite. Make that small talk like I was talking about before. Most of the recruiters that come up here are probably Penn State alum. So say, hey, they might not want to say when they graduated, but say, hey, are you a Penn State alum? Like, what was your major? Talk about the creamery. I don't know, maybe just something a little on the side to break up all of the talk about recruiting, okay? Questions that you ask is so important. That's a great opportunity to show them that you've done the research on the company, okay? Your attitude, have that awesome personality, bubbly. Nobody wants to work with someone that's monotone and just standing there like they're grumpy, okay? That's the last thing that we want, okay? And that's the last person that we want to have on our team too, okay? So after the career fair, it's not what you know, but it's who you know, okay? So make sure that you, so like some of the recruiters I know today, I handed out my business card to a lot of people, which if anybody wants it at the end of this, just let me know if you have any questions. But reach out to that rep and say, hey, it was nice talking to you today. Maybe tie in something about maybe something interesting that you talked about, just so that they remember your name. It makes a big difference, okay? So it's not about what you know all the time, but it's who you know. So make sure you do networking too. I actually saw a boy today. It must have been a company that he was really interested in. We were tearing down and he was sitting back on one of the seats, and everybody was about to leave. The company was packing up all their stuff, and he actually went over and said like, hi, do you remember me? Blah, blah, blah. But he took the extra time to sit back and then come up and talk to them again. just super quick and just say like safe travels or whatever, but I'm sure that recruiter will remember that boy for doing that, because he not only talked to them once but twice, and I'm sure that's the last person that they talked to, so they will remember his face. Okay, so as I was saying, if someone gives you their contact information, please follow up with them. It's respectful, it's nice, it's polite, and it's nice knowing sometimes that the recruiter didn't waste their time, and you're thanking them for all the time that they spent speaking with you. Remind them what specific role you're interested in if that company has multiple roles. Briefly list what qualities you talked about and why you're good for that position, and also why you would love being considered for an interview with that company. Like I was saying before, if you guys don't have a LinkedIn, please make sure that you set one up. It's super easy. You just need a picture of yourself, some information, and it's an easy way to connect with those recruiters. Even if you don't have all their contact information, it's not hard to look them up because it will have their name on there. And like I say, you might not need them right now, but say you actually get in with that company, you could actually go back to that recruiter, and how cool would it be to say, hey, like I got the job, you were someone that interviewed me or something. That would be really cool. I think I would enjoy that. So always keep that in mind. Be on the lookout for employees reaching out after a career fair, and make sure to follow up timely. So this is very important. So especially when you're setting up interviews, maybe going to your first, your second, your third round of interviews, set up that voicemail. I'm sure most of you are gonna have your phone number on your resume. So that means that there's a potential of someone calling you. So don't have the crazy ringback tone and things like that. Have a professional voicemail setup, okay? Answer your phone professionally. Okay. Don't do anything crazy. I won't give any examples. So one time I actually got a phone call from, it looked like an important number, so I actually didn't pick it up because I was in a restaurant, and I went outside and I called them back. That is so much better than answering the phone and like having to go sprinting across the restaurant to get to a quiet place. So it's okay to not take the call and call them right back, as long as it's going to be more of a professional setting where it's going to be quiet and easier to hear. Okay.
And if they do leave a voicemail in that interim, listen to the voicemail before calling them back.
Yes.
Because that's the first thing they're going to say is, I just left you a voicemail.
Yeah.
That was 3 minutes long. Did you listen to it? You're going to say no, and they're going to say, I wasted 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I have to repeat myself. It's annoying.
Yep. And you might have a little bit more of a heads up on what it's going to be about. Okay. For your emails, make sure that you have a nice signature at the bottom. You can do that with pencil. Okay, cool. Don't use slang. This isn't texting. Be professional about it. And please, 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 and I am the worst person to say this, but spell check, okay? Make sure that you reread your email or whatever you're sending out a couple times, because nothing is worse than sending something out, reading what you wrote and how silly you made yourself sound when it was very easy to not do that by just reading it one more time, okay? Do you guys have any questions? Good? Okay. Applying online for any roles that you're interested in interviewing for, I'm sure that there's lots that you can do with that. As it says, jobs should be posted on the school career network. Make sure that you look into that too. It's comforting knowing that when someone comes up and talks to you, say, hey, I looked into this and I actually already applied for it. That's kind of cool. And knowing that they did that research and that homework before they came and talked to you, and now they're just trying to have that face-to-face conversation to get themselves known.
Definitely apply ahead of time. It's going to show that you're a more interested candidate, thus they should take you more seriously. Number one. Number two, you're going to have that intel. You can say, I see you really focus on analytical skills in your job posting. Well, let me tell you about those skill sets that I have. You can tailor your pitch. You can frame your pitch in an entirely different way to show them that you're a fit. I will say most jobs are posted in Inline Careers. If you're not familiar with that system, you need to use the Business Career Center to know how to access that system. it is not uncommon for employers to say, apply here, but also apply on the Kohl's website or on the PwC website or whatever it is. Make sure you follow the instructions, because if you don't follow it exactly, even if they like you, they can throw you out. Also, don't get discouraged that you just went to the career fair and they're telling you, please apply. That's not a push-off, that's the process. Okay, they could be very interested in you, but you just have to go through the formal channels.
I know Kohl's, like today, we actually have it where people can register ahead of time. So it shows that you really have your ducks in a row. When you see that one name, you're definitely going to be looking for that person's name that's already registered, because it means that they know what they're doing and they're going to come prepared. So it only looks better for you when you have that hand-on-hand with a recruiter that you're already in their system, and they can even look at your resume ahead of time too, which is nice. Okay. Start preparing for interviews. This is a two-way road, okay? And I really, really wish that someone would have told me this when I was, before I started going to the career fairs, but calm down. It's okay. It's just a conversation with another person, okay? And recruiters want you for their company just as you want to be a part of that company, okay? So it is a big deal, but it's okay. Just breathe. It's just that conversation, okay? And like I say, they want you just as much as you want them, okay? So I'm not gonna come all this way and not advertise Kohl's, okay? So like I said, I graduated in 2016. I did the internship for Kohl's my junior year. It is an 8-week internship, and then my senior year I came back and I was actually the brand rep for Kohl's, so I just kind of advertised it on campus. And then I was actually the person that came back my senior year, and I had a job, and all my friends hated me because I had a job, so I could just relax and enjoy it, okay? And then after I graduated, I did the MIT program, which is for seniors. That stands for Manager in Training. That's a 12-week program. It's just more in-depth than the internship. And then after that, you can become an assistant store manager, which is what I am now. Okay, so we're gonna go into a little bit more depth of that. So like I said, the store management internship is for juniors. It is an 8-week summer program. It's actually paid, so that's fun. You're part of the management team. I was actually a coach for many of the interns, and I actually had an intern in my store this year, which was super fun. It's hands-on experience. And this is one thing that I really like about Kohl's, and a lot of the people asked today, is you guys are taking a lot of classes right now that is not just your major, but a lot of the other business classes as well. So when you do the Kohl's internship, you're learning management, obviously, you're learning finance, you're learning marketing, you're learning accounting, supply chain, entrepreneurship. It's everything. So you don't just get that very specific skill set like you might for like a finance or an accounting internship, but you're getting a little bit of everything. It's a very well-rounded internship. And then when I came back my senior year, I use the word relief because it's like I really, really learned something that was important during my internship because I could compare it to the classes that I was taking my senior year. Okay, so I was taking a supply chain class and I was like, oh my gosh, I can compare this to my internship. That is so cool because a lot of people couldn't say that. Okay, so during the internship, you are given a department and you can, you're given the ability to take ownership and accountability for that department. So you are getting getting product to the floor and worrying about the presentation for customers and how you can increase that. And you're looking at numbers and data and you're seeing the trends of your department. If you're doing good, if you're doing bad, what you can do to make it better. And then you go on a store walk at the end of the internship. And that is with the district manager, who is the store manager's boss. So that's kind of cool that you get that one-on-one time with them. So when you go on that walk, it's kind of like I compare it to a presentation, but it's like a real life presentation, because instead of pictures, you're actually showing them, just literally talking about everything that you've learned through the 8-week internship. Okay. And you get exposure to senior leadership, which is awesome. And like I say, it's paid. So that's pretty cool too. Okay, so now the store management trainee, that is what we call the MIT. Like I said, I went through that as well. It's just a more of an in-depth internship, and that's after you graduate. So you're getting all of that hands-on experience. So what they do for the internship and the MIT program, they give you this binder, and they say all these different tasks that you need to learn. Every store is not the same, so they don't say you need to complete this task this day. You just get your hands dirty as soon as you can. But you watch CBTs, which are computer-based trainings. I know you guys are probably like, oh my gosh, computers, this is so boring, this isn't why I'm here. It's kind of nice that you do get to watch them, because it gives you the what, the why, the how. So when you go out onto the floor and actually do what you just watched on that computer-based training, you understand it and have a little bit more of a background, so you're not just being thrown into it. So like I say, the CBTs are like, but you actually get that hands-on experience right after you watch that CBT, so you understand what you're doing. Okay, so at the end of the day, it is good. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So if you go through the manager and training program, there is over 1,100 stores, and the internship and MIT program is actually based in store. So you're going to be in a full store. So if you want to stay close to home, you have a chance of being placed in the store that's closest to your home, so that you don't have to go get housing or anything like that. Or if you want to go to California for the summer, I don't know, some people might want to do that. You can say, hey, I would really like to go to California. And there's a large chance that you're going to be able to actually go out there and be where you want to be placed. Okay, so that's nice that there's flexibility to be with that as well. All right. Okay, so like I say, one of the things that's really appealing about Kohl's is there is a lot of room to grow. Okay, so like I say, you start with that internship, which is 8 weeks. Then you go on to be MIT, which is the 12 weeks. Then you become an assistant store manager. And then you can become a store manager, maybe a district manager, and even a regional manager, which is absolutely nuts that you can climb the ladder that fast, okay? And at the end of the day, that's what Kohl's wants you to do, okay? They would so much rather have someone fill that position internally than have to hire externally, okay? And that's one thing that Kohl's is really, really good at, is about shifting people around so that they can keep the internal people going up instead of hiring the external people for those high-end jobs, okay? Okay, so Michelle Goss is our CEO, and this is just a quote from her. In retail, change is the norm, which is absolutely true. We are an agile organization that can adjust and evolve with changing executions for our expectations for our customer, because we always have and always will put our customer first, which is also very true. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for me? Nothing? Sure.
So when you got like that internship, like did you know that was like what you wanted to do?
If you would tell me that I was going to be in retail, I would say you're crazy. I would have never, ever, ever, ever guessed that I would be in retail. But when going through all the companies in preparation for the BJC career fair, I remember looking back at my paperwork and I put little stars by companies that I wanted to go see, and I put 2 little stars by Kohl's just because I really liked what they had to offer, and I saw that there was such an I shouldn't say easy way, but there was expectation and you could climb that ladder so quickly. And it's like a lot of people hear internship and they're like, oh, I'm just going to be that extra set of hands. You know what I mean? Maybe that person ringing register, or the person going to get copies off the printer or getting coffee. You hear those horror stories of internships, but you're actually given the ability to take ownership of your own department. Like, we're trusting a complete stranger to come in who is extremely young and take charge of over people that had 2 to 3 times the amount of experience that they do, which is intimidating, but heck, we're trusting you. Like, I think that's kind of cool. Does that answer your question? Go ahead.
I was curious about the departments. Now, are you talking about the different departments within the store?
Yes, I'm sorry. So like I was in charge of the kids department because it was back to school time. So I knew that that department was going to get shopped hard and there was lots of sets going on in that department. So it was a challenging department. So I knew I was going to get a lot of experience in there. Sure.
I have another question.
Okay.
Were you in the store every single day? Or
Every single day. Yep. And one thing that I like about Kohl's is I walk in and I have a checklist in my head of things that I'm going to get done. And I walk through the door and it's like, oh my gosh, that is not what I'm going to get done today. So it keeps you on your toes. You need to learn how to have good time management and how to prioritize, and you're leading your team, which if you did your job and developed your team, then your job is going to be so easy and it's going to be fun too. I actually enjoy going to work. A lot of people can't say that, but it's fun to spend time with the people that I enjoy and enjoy me. And I try to take my time to coach them to be the best that they can be too, which is rewarding because I have actually trained people to actually, one girl actually just took my position. I left the store and she actually took my position in that store, which was rewarding not only for her, but for me, knowing that I helped her get there. Go ahead.
At the career fair, like as a freshman, like are there still like a lot of internship opportunities, or is it more like about like just getting your face out there and like talking to the companies?
For Kohl's, we don't offer anything for freshmen and sophomore, but like I say, I recognize a lot of faces today that were younger, and it only makes you so much better when it is your time to shine. I'm sure that there are companies out there that
I can supplement that a little bit. So there are Fortune 100, 500 companies that will hire freshmen for internships. Are there an abundance of them? No. A lot more of them are looking for sophomores, especially if they're supply chain or finance. They're dipping into the sophomore pool, but mostly juniors. That doesn't mean you can't get an internship period though with a smaller firm, CPA, mom and pop shop, sports teams will dip younger into the pool. So absolutely there are things out there for freshmen. Are they the types of companies that are coming to campus and hiring 100 people at Clip? Probably not. But here's the interesting thing. Companies are also hiring some, not Kohl's, but some companies are hiring for things called externships. They're also called leadership or discovery programs depending on the company, and those will dip into the freshman sophomore pool. And they're competitive. They're still an application and interview process, but great for your resume. And they're short 1 to 5 day experiences that give you a glimpse of what it's like to work at that company. And that company is giving a glimpse at you and how you're doing team building and whatever you're doing in those 1 to 5 days. So there are ways to get on the radar. Now, Taylor had mentioned that you can actually schedule and register ahead of time with Kohl's to chat with them at the career fair. That's using something called an applicant tracking system. Most companies are also using an ATS, an applicant tracking system to some degree. Every time you're interacting with a company, they are creating an interaction or an account for you. So if you meet with Kohl's at the career fair, you get a little check mark in the system. If you do their case competition this month, you're getting a check in the system. You go to their info session or their store tour in October, you get a check mark, even as a freshman. So then as a sophomore, when you come back and go see them at the career fair, they're gonna say, I got 15 interactions with this person already. They obviously want us. I should be interested in them too. And hopefully there's some notes indicating more than just that. So it's very important to build those bridges as a freshman, sophomore. And then there could be an internship or an externship. But at the very least, you're getting some of those little flags in the system. It makes life easier later.
And nothing is more important than that face-to-face interaction. It builds your confidence and it shows the recruiter that you're taking it seriously. So like I say, I recognize people today, which is awesome. And I'm mentally taking note of that because it's a lot of the same recruiters that come and do that.
It's the nature of human interaction you treat people differently when you know them better. And I mean, I'll give the perfect example. My schedule as a career coach in our office is very booked out, okay? So If someone reaches out to me that I've never met before, someone flags me in the atrium and they say, I desperately need a resume review, and I've never met them before, I'm gonna say, you have to come to drop-ins. But if I'm working with what I call a frequent flyer, and I've worked with that person for 2 years already, and I know that they have their act together and they just need 15 minutes of my time, I'm gonna book something for them that's not in the public schedule, that's a little bit off the grid, because I'm gonna go out of my way to help them. It works the same way in recruiting. You make yourself known, they're gonna go out of their way for you. That's just human interaction.
Any other questions? Nothing? Anything about the transition from college to the workforce? Anything? I'm your girl. Okay, I'm gonna have my cards up here, so if you have one, or if you want one, just let me know.